Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava ki Jai Radha Kunja Vihari ki Jai Radha Giridhari ki Jai Prabhupada ki Jai Bhagavatam ki Jai Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakti Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavatara Bhaktakyam Nami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Shri Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nigama Kalpatarorgalitam Palam Shukam Amrita Drava Samitam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhura Rasika Bhuvi Bhavokaham Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Praesho Bhadresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Rutumakshloke Bhaktirvavati Naishtike Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. You're going to be reading from 9th canto, chapter 15, text 26. Havirdanim risher darpan naran hartum achadayat techa mahishmitim ninyu savatsam karadatim balat havirdanim risher darpan naran hartum achodayat techa mahishmatim ninyu savatsam krandatim balat havirdhanim risher darpan naran hartum achodayat techa mahishmatim ninyu savatsam karandatim balat. Havirdanim risher darpan naram hatsurachodaya techa mahishmatim ninyu savatsam krandatim balat havirdanim risher darpan naran hartum achodayat techa mahishmatim ninyu savatsam krandatim balat. Kavihdanim, the Kamadhenu, Rishe of the great sage Jamadagni, Darpat, because of his being puffed up with material power, Naran, all his men, means soldiers, Kartum, to steal or take away, Achodayat, encouraged, Te, the men of Kartavirarjuna, Cha, also, Mahishmatim, to the capital of Kartavirarjuna, Ninyu, brought, Savatsam, with the calf, Krandatim, crying, Balat, because of being taken away by force. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Being puffed up by material power, Kartavirarjuna encouraged his men to steal Jamadagni's Kamadhenu. Thus the men forcibly took away the carrying Kamadhenu, along with her calf, to Mahishmati, Kartavirarjuna's capital. The word Havirdhanim is significant in this verse. Havirdhanim refers to a cow required for supplying havis, or ghee, for the performance of ritualistic ceremonies in sacrifices. In human life, one should be trained to perform yagyas. As we are informed in Bhagavad Gita 3:9, Yajnarthat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhanaha if we do not perform yagya, we shall simply work very hard for sense gratification like dogs and hogs. This is not civilization. A human being should be trained to perform yagya. Yagyat bhavati parjanyaha. If yagyas are regularly performed, there will be proper rain from the sky, and when there is regular rainfall, the land will be fertile and suitable for producing all the necessities of life. Yagya, therefore, is essential. For performing yagya, clarified butter is essential. And for clarified butter, cow protection is essential. Therefore, if we neglect the Vedic way of civilization, we shall certainly suffer. So-called scholars and philosophers do not know the secret of success in life, and therefore they suffer in the hands of Prakriti, nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunahkaimani sarvasashaha. Nonetheless, although they are forced to suffer, they think they are advancing in civilization. Hankara vimudhatma kardaham iti manyate. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore meant to revive a mode of civilization in which everyone will be happy. This is the motive of our Krishna consciousness movement. Yagye sukhena bhavantu. Here we see the story of Parashuram. And at this particular moment in Srimad Bhagavatam 26th verse of 15th chapter, Parashuram, the Lord's warrior incarnation. There is a description of Kartavira Arjuna, who knew all about how to govern. He was king, so he was used to perform yagyas. But here we see he was influenced by ego. Because of his being puffed up with material power. He knew how to acquire material power. But the story doesn't end there. He was a very good king. It's mentioned somewhere in previous verses that he was good. He was also good. Sometimes he was good, and at this point he wasn't good. Because he thought, oh, I have so much power, I am the king. Now I see that this sage, Jamadagni, he's got something that I don't. And all good things in my kingdom, they should be given to the king. So he asked Jamadagni, in not such a nice way, he told his men that Jamadagni is never going to give me his kamadenu, so you have to forcibly take away. This same story repeats somewhere else. Does anyone remember where we see this? When Kshatriya, he sees very special cow. Kamadenu is not specific name of specific cow. Kamadenu simply means wish-fulfilling cow. Yes, I couldn't hear what you said, Maharaj.
Oh, I just said it's desire.
Desire fulfilling. Yeah. Okay, thank you for correction.
As far as the personality of Vishwamrita Muni, I'm taking the Kamadenu cow of Vishista Muni.
Yes, that's in Ramayana story. That began a very interesting, long story of Vishwamitra Muni's transformation, because he realized that he can't take the cow and he can't be more powerful than Vasishta, and he was Kshatriya. And then he realized that he needs to become the most powerful Brahmarshi. He wanted not to become. Yeah, he wanted to become Brahmarshi, which is the top form of rishi. Maharshi, he wanted to become Maharshi. I forgot.
He just wanted to know Brahman.
At first.
That's only Brahman. Maharshi is a saintly king. And Brahmarshi is a cross between a rishi and a Brahman. So he just
Yeah.
wanted to know Brahman.
He wanted to be superior to everyone else in his power. Yeah. So at one point it's mentioned that he didn't just want to be any type of yogi or get any type of like superior, but he wanted to the most, because he learned that because there's certain idea is coming that if you're a kshatriya, then as a vanaprastha you take up certain ascetic. Then from that, because you were kshatriya before, you aspire for certain type of goals. Also when you're vanaprastha. And then if you're Brahmin, then you have different type of ascetic work after you take vanaprastha. So that was one of his doubts, that if I was a kshatriya, now I'm going to only get as far as kshatriyas can get, not as Brahmins, because Brahmins, they get farther away on the path. So then he said, I want what Brahmins have access to. That's the point. That was his, so he wanted benefits of Brahmins. Not just because he didn't want to just have a status of Brahmin in Varnashrama. He wanted to perform, because Varnashrama, then Vanaprastha is different type of the duties for a Brahmin are of different type. They change. Because as Grihastha, Brahmana, then they have certain Brahminical, but then they have also ashramas like Vasishta Muni, he had ashram where Vanaprasthas came, Brahmin Vanaprasthas, and they were performing ascetic work there. This is one detail.
Gita 335. Right. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmin, or a Brahmin may act as the Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamrita was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmin, whereas Parshurama was a Brahmana, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendently situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness.
Yes. No, yes, of course, that's the principle. From Srila Prabhupada's perspective, he speaks to teach us that Krishna consciousness is superior and how it works. And that's definitely something that we should take as superior source when we try to learn about how to bring Krishna consciousness into our life, and what does that mean. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, and he would agree that Doesn't matter what kind of situation you come from, you can become Brahmin. And that's encouraged because Brahmins are in Sattva Guna. Because there is Krishna consciousness first. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took care for devotees from Ramanuja. And if you go to South India and you see Ramanuja Sampradaya, then they don't look at how you look like, who you are, where you were before. For them it's important that you come for darshan, and when you come out, there's boys there, Gurukulis. They give respects to everyone who comes from Tirupati Balaji out. And I came out, I was amazed by the darshan. And they were there, boys, like teenage boys. And they were offering obeisances to everyone. And if someone didn't know that they should sit down, because in South India it's customary to sit down. So Ramanuja and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they did not think that it's important what kind of situation you come from. I think this is connected. And then when you become a devotee, then you can get qualities of Sattva Guna, which are Brahminic qualities. Yes.
This particular verse that I was citing explains that as long as one is conditioned by the modes of material nature, one should act according to that quality. But at the same time, one should cultivate a sense of Krishna consciousness while one is doing that. But on the other hand, when one is actually transcendental, then he can act in any particular service, and it doesn't make any difference. But it has really nothing to do with becoming a Brahmin, because, as it mentioned here, the Parasuraman, what we're reading, he was born in a Brahmin family, but because he was transcendental, he could act as a Kshatriya.
Yes.
But generally speaking, the verse implies that as long as one is conditioned, that one should act according to one's duty, as Arjuna was told. Although Arjuna was transcendental, but he was told by Krishna, he should act as a Kshatriya. He should not imitate that of a Brahmin. So the material world is based on imitation, trying to imitate Krishna. Therefore one should actually find out what his duty is as long as one is conditioned, and follow that, even if he does it imperfectly. Because Krishna says destruction in the course of one's own duty is better, and to follow someone else's duty is dangerous.
If life would be that good that you could always do like in Kali Yuga. Because when you read scriptures, we see that the society was directed like that. It was, because when we look at a person, this is one thing that I have a lot of times problems with these explanations, because when you look at someone, individual person, you say you should act according to your talents, you should get trained according to what you're interested in to be able to serve in Krishna consciousness. But the person is in reality is very confused. But the thing is, when we read scriptures, we see that whole cities, whole countries were already situated like that. So it wasn't even, considering like, should I think about, who I am, what I was supposed to do, how should I get trained? It was just, the system was like that. So if someone says, oh, I'm a Kshatriya, you can be Kshatriya, but in what situation you're going to be Kshatriya? You may have Kshatriya propensities, but then you're going to go to a place where nobody's going to care. They just want you to carry garbage every day. So it's like, it's also a lot. So it's a lot social thing. If you act, because then Prabhupada said, do the needful. So when you're part of the community, then you do whatever is required for service of Krishna, to serve community, and to do service of Krishna, and to do the chanting and everything. Chanting of mantras previously was necessary for workers, but now everyone chants. because then that's our first thing. We get Krishna conscious first, and whatever is required to help us with that. And meanwhile, we face all kinds of problems and challenges when we try to engage ourselves. This is our goal, definitely, that we are well situated according to our nature. But in reality, it is very rare. Those who are lucky, they're really situated. They know their whole life, oh, okay, I'm going to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher because I saw someone relative, they had very long vacation. So, so your child, you see all your relatives are teachers. I want to be a teacher, I'm going to be a teacher. And then you're directed your whole life, and your society, when you're a little child, and astrologer looks, oh, he's going to be a teacher. Then everybody knows you're going to teach. And then you get training, you get guidance, you get people to work with. And then you say, okay, I'm situated according to my dharma. But if people around you are also not situated according to their dharma, then you're yourself trying to post yourself to be situated according to your dharma, maybe disturbance to the progress of Krishna conscious community. Of course, everyone individually, when we grow in Krishna consciousness, when we heal, grow, we want to transform, we want to please Srila Prabhupada's, we want to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. We always think, yes, I think that if I would be able to engage my propensities, my talents, my training, everything fully in service of Srila Prabhupada's mission, that would be optimal. But we shouldn't expect that that's going to happen. How I see myself as who I am, and what all the ideas and all the things that I could do for Srila Prabhupada's mission. This is my personal experience. 22 years since I started chanting. I was 18 years old. Later on, more and more ideas and more drive was there that I could engage in this way and that way. This would be optimal also for everyone else. I was like, good thoughts, good thinking, but in reality you have to think of what can I do today? And disregard your ego of wanting to be that, because I've seen this, that sometimes devotees, they know clearly what they want to do, but they can't. And then they think like Kartavira Arjuna, I have right to have this and that, this opportunity, that opportunity, but I don't have opportunities. I'm just ready for such opportunities. I feel like that. So then that may create some false, like undesirable expectations, instead of just focusing on what can I do today, how can I serve devotees, what I know and what experience I have I can use today, regardless of whether I'm situated or not. Of course, everyone is interested to know who they are, to be able to serve Krishna perfectly according to their situation, and this is supported by scripture. But if you don't have community who's already working in such a way, then it's unlikely. You can go tell them, I'm a kshatriya, listen to me, to the that's your dharma. But you can be a kshatriya in a different situation. You can be a kshatriya if you actually have that propensity, that training, you're prepared. You can find community where that will be possible. But in reality, it's rare. In Kali Yuga, there's no varnashrama system. If there would be. But varnashrama is eternal, so on some level there is. There's always going to be teachers, there's always going to be people who are going to be having those positions. But I start talking off topic. Yes.
There are two types of swadharma, as Prabhupada mentions. There's the swadharma when one is conditioned under the material nature, one's duty, one's varna and ashram. But there's the swadharma, the orders given by Krishna through the disciple succession. So in the absence of the swadharma of varnashram, one can serve Krishna through the orders coming through disciple succession. But in this particular verse, we're dealing in a society of varnashram. This is not Kali Yuga. This is being explained in Treta Yuga, when Parasuram was an incarnation. So they actually had a proper varnashram at that time. And the Kshatriyas were supposed to work under the Brahmins. So Kartavya Arjuna's problem was he offended the Brahmin, Janmadagni. But his son was a Kshatriya, was a Brahmin also. But he couldn't actually avenge the wrongdoings of Kartavya Arjuna because he was a Brahmin. That's what his father told him, he has to be forgiving. Mm-hmm. But because he was an incarnation, he was transcendental to any of these varna ashram system.
Yeah. That's certainly a point. But in Parashuram's case, is a little more complicated. Also, sometimes in varnashrama system, it was very clear that in what kind of family you were born, it was almost 100% you're going to be that. And Parashuram's lineage isn't pure Brahmins, they're also mixed. So sometimes, there's the curse. It was there was also not curse. The yagya was done by I forgot the names. There was a mix-up in yagya here. Let's find it right now. I forgot which was the names. Richika Muni. He prepared for Satyavati, who was his wife. Satyavati's mother thought the oblations prepared for daughter must be better. But Richika's because then there was Kshatriya, he prepared two offerings for mother who was Kshatriyas, it was meant to be for Kshatriya, so Satyavati's brother would be Kshatriya. And Satyavati for Brahmin, his own son would become very qualified Brahmin. And then Satyavati's mother convinced Satyavati that I should get better offering because your husband loves you more. So then he prepared better, but he had in mind different. And then they exchanged and he was upset. And he said, okay, next generation, there's going to be a Kshatriya. His grandchild is going to be with Kshatriya tendencies. So though his bloodline was Brahmin, then he became Kshatriya because of this mix-up. This was Parashuram's specific, unique case. In Bhagavatam, there's only unique cases, and they're not general cases. So it's important, the context. But also, sometimes Brahmins and Kshatriyas would mix in marriage. So the tendencies would be transmitted like that also. It's not that it's 100%. If your father is Kshatriya, then your son will be Kshatriya. And because father might be married with Brahmin. It's hard because then we can speculate or philosophize because we have limited information, because none of us actually saw. But we have this information, then we can try to draw certain relevant conclusions that make sense. But as far as today is concerned, we first, devotees, they accept this, otherwise they wouldn't be called devotees. They accept this point that first I need to learn how to become a Krishna Sevaka, servant of Krishna. By Krishna, I mean Krishna and what's connected, directly connected to him. Spiritual, everything. Like when king comes, all entourage comes with him. So in the sense of what's Srila, more specifically for us today, what's Srila Prabhupada's mission. We first accept that, then we're called devotees. And we keep in mind that that's our first goal. Maybe other goals. Be engaged according to our nature. Or learn new things to find out more of ourselves, because there's both evidence in not I said evidence, didn't mean to say evidence. We can learn so many things as human beings. To search for one thing that we are. Better to go through life slowly and try many things and in the context of learning and experience that we may think that are good for Krishna, for our own and others, other Krishna people, Krishna consciousness. And with that we grow. We are not too much limited in, one thing I have to. Then you go, you progress. It's actually educational theory. I look a lot at educational theories. They say that the prodigy, now it's like popular that like cats, everyone watches cats on videos of cats, and then they watch also children playing instruments like pro level. And they're saying if you dedicate, I don't know, it's 1,000 hours, 3,000, 6,000, some thousand hours at anything, then you're going to become expert at it. But then educational theory says that this is not as good as involving in more different forms of education. And with that you grow and you get, that you go more slow, that you don't focus on one, and so then you get it's more likely that you're gonna find your passions, what you're gonna be good at, and in the long run. Goloka Vrindavan. It's like when we look at Goloka Vrindavan, there's one thing here. They say cows are there. So I was thinking, cows are important. If without cows, there would be no yagya. If I return to the purport. So then cows are more important than human beings. So they're actually the dominant species.
Are you serious?
No, in the particular sense. No. I don't mean like. I need to explain. No, I don't mean that. Because if you look at Goloka Vrindavan, we say Goloka, planet of cows. We don't say planet of human beings, or planet of. It's Goloka. Everyone knows.
What does that have to do with cows are more important than human beings?
No, then if somebody would look at planet Earth, they might be thinking, oh, this must be planet of cats and dogs, because humans, they're taking care of cats and dogs very nicely. So they're more important to them as other humans. So in here, Srila Prabhupada says that cows are crucial for development of human well-being, happiness. This is the motive of our Krishna conscious movement, to be happy. Like ISKCON. And people think that they're going to be happy by serving cats and dogs. But when we actually see the example of Krishna, he's serving cows. In that sense, I didn't mean to. It just, this is, some people think like that, you know, if human beings, they love their animals so much, then that tells something, that animals, that they accept animals as superior to themselves. That's what I meant. If you're a farmer in Vedic times, like described here, then you're thinking the well-being, the care for my cows is more important than my own. Like Krishna is thinking. He loves his cows so much that in that sense, I didn't mean literally that they're predominant species. It's obvious that human beings are... the earth is supposed to belong to humans and they should govern. Yes.
The earth belongs to Krishna. And therefore cows and everyone else, including the human beings, are all meant for yajna, for sacrifice. Cows are considered important because they supply the ingredients for sacrifice. But ultimately the whole idea is to please Krishna. Whether it's Varnashram or it's in the Sankirtan movement, everything is meant for yajna, for pleasing Krishna.
Yajna, tapasya, yajna, dana, charity. Which are interconnected, of course. Yajna is, in scripture we see so many examples of yajna. Sankirtan yajna. Srila Prabhupada's mission is based on yajna. He said everyone should engage in spreading Krishna conscious movement. So for us that's yajna. Our sacrifice is to use things. Because when we look at traditional, then yajna means, that was such an elaborate process. For Soma Yagya in 75 or 74, I think, was the last Soma Yagya performed. It was huge amounts of money and resources and everything was engaged into one person is Yajamana. Is called the person who is sponsoring, who is Yagya is done for. And it's a lot. You have to sacrifice so much if you want to perform, and you have to find people. That time, 74, they had difficulty to find a person who would know certain parts of Samaveda, because everything is recited by Brahmins who grew up were trained like that. Born in family, in their neighbors, uncles, they trained them in ancient chanting. So they didn't have that part of Samaveda. They had to find a person, and they found someone who knew in entire India, and then they could perform the whole thing. The magnitude of how much you put into one particular yajna is a lot, and everyone, from Shudras to everyone, Brahmins, and we always think of yajna and Brahmin duty, but everyone is engaged. When there is a yajna sacrifice, then everybody, whole kingdom. There's in Yudhishthira Maharaj, he sent horse around the world. I mean, it's so elaborate. And then when you look at Prabhupada's vision, he wanted this concept to be implemented in Krishna's service, and he wanted everyone to be part of it. He says that if somebody cannot chant, then they could do some work. Prabhupada was so open to everyone be part of yagya. So much charity is involved in yagya. Yeah, it's in us that we love animals. That was just this interesting point. Humans, they like animals. They love animals. And if you love cows, then we forget that importance of cows. Then there's food. And cow protection. Where was it? Yesterday? Goraksha. We can't do. Now everyone wants to become vegan nowadays, so they're thinking that animal products are not good for eating. They're saying 60% of humanity is lactose intolerant. I don't know. Yeah, that's that one point, but there is another point is about this cow, Kamadhenu, that Jamadagni owned. Obviously that wasn't just a cow, because cows, why would Krita Virya Arjuna be interested in any cow that can give milk, that can produce ghee? From that milk ghee is produced and can be offered to sacrifice. It was unique cow, just like in Vasishta Muni's case. There's some descriptions that there were cows that you could milk. In Prithu Lila, he had a cow that he could milk different things. Oh, that was the earth. It's a different story. Again, there are specifics that may or may not be relevant to this particular case. But different powers could be derived directly, not necessarily from the milk and ghee and performing ritual of sacrifice, but you could get tejas, you could get different things, yogic powers from such cows. It's like from deity. When I stand in front of the deity, I realize I have difficulty to think of Krishna. In front of Panchatattva, I have difficulty thinking of Panchatattva because I think of myself so much. And I want so many favors. But then I try to train myself that at least when I stand in front of the deities, I think of something that is of them, not myself. So cow like that, if you wanted something for yourself, you would get that. So it was divine, beyond divine. Any other question and comment? Thank you. I hope I didn't overstep, cross the line at some point. I'm sitting higher than sannyasi. That's very impudent. But I think that that's also necessary if I want to get trained to be better at my services. Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.